to suffer. Unceasing agonies, to ponder the unsolvable. The questions are the same. Incomprehensible, the unanswerable. Why must this be so? Why must this be so? Beyond this, besides this, is there truly nothing? Can this be death? Why death? With no reason to look forward, I must now live in the past. Memories most remote to my childhood, long, long ago. My brothers, our toys, hot summer days, ripe French plums, warm cherry tarts, the memory of their taste, to know now what I love. Life, a falling stone, flies further and further towards its terrible, and flies further and further. I fly, I fly. Life starts as a bright spot and slowly becomes dimmer. Afterwards only darker, then proceeding more rapidly, more rapidly, more rapidly, more rapidly, more rapidly, 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 rapid, rapid, rapid. Why did I think I still had time? Life, a falling stone, flies further and further towards its terrible, and flies further and further. I fly, I fly. comprehending the impossible. An explanation. There is none. Have I lived a life worth living, having done what was expected? My life has no meaning. My life had been the most simple, the most ordinary, the most terrible.
Hello there, my socially distant friends. Welcome to The High Note, our monthly live stream featuring updates, interviews, and more from Opera Orlando. Oh, wow. Oh, boy. Big crowd today. Big crowd today. Eager crowd. I'm your host, Gabriel Preisser, broadcasting live from the Opera Orlando offices. And you may not have recognized that opening clip. And don't feel bad if you didn't, because it is from an opera yet to be premiered. That's right. That clip was Ivan's aria from Death of Ivan Ilych, sung by the wonderful Sean Stork, a former studio artist for Opera Orlando. And this work, Death of Ivan Ilych, Opera Orlando has the honor of presenting the world premiere of this month in partnership with Thompson Street Opera Company. How cool is that? Tickets are on sale and going fast as seating is limited. Lots of reasons not to miss this performance. World premiere. It's in English, based on the famous Tolstoy novella, and there's food. That's what I'm talking about. Well, let's learn more about it, shall we?
Opera Orlando presents the world premiere of Death of Ivan Ilych, a one-act chamber opera based on Tolstoy's masterpiece novella, composed by John Young with a libretto by Alan Olenichek. The premiere features Sean Stork in the title role with stage direction by Grant Preisser and Dennis Ooze conducting musicians from Alterity Chamber Orchestra. Written as a response to the composer's own battle with cancer and the very real prospect of dying, the opera will be presented right here, on site at the Orlando Museum of Art Grand Gallery Hall on February 19th and 21st, with pre-show drinks and appetizers, along with a post-show dessert reception with an opportunity to meet the cast and musicians. Tickets are now on sale. See you at the museum.
Well, there you go. Lots of reasons to want to see this very powerful and poignant work. And if that little video didn't entice you, I don't know how it couldn't have. Well, how about getting to meet our conductor, Dennis Ooze, and lead soprano, Adriana Nieves? Please give them a hearty welcome to The High Notes. Woo! Hey, Dennis, Adriana, how are you guys? Good to see you. How's it going?
Doing well. How are you today, Gabe?
I'm doing great. There's that wonderful bass baritone voice that you have, Dennis. Adriana, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for having us today.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. So first and foremost, happy to see you guys are staying safe, staying healthy during these crazy times. And Dennis, where are you broadcasting from today?
I'm broadcasting here in Oviedo, so not far from downtown, and just trying to stay isolated and safe as much as possible. But I'm glad to be back in town.
Oh, Vito, you're right around the corner. My gosh, we're practically neighbors. We are practically neighbors. And what about you, Adriana? Where are you at today?
I'm broadcasting from my parents' house in East Orlando.
Well, they have a lovely library there. I love all those books. Do you happen to have Death of Ivan Illich on your bookshelf behind you? Any Tolstoy on there?
There's definitely some Tolstoy. Death of Ivan Illich is probably in my bag.
Good for you, as it should be, as you guys are getting ready for the world premiere of this new work. How exciting. Now, I have to ask you, since you can't go online and listen to Pavarotti sing Ivan's aria, or listen to Berganza sing Praskovia's aria from Death of Ivan Illich, how does one prepare for a world premiere? And I'll tell you, I'll start with you, Dennis. As a conductor, how do you dive into a new work like this?
That's a great question. I mean, I think the best way to start, and this is what I always do, is read through the libretto first, get a sense of what it is the composer is going to work with. I get my own idea of what I think the dramatic timing will be, and then from there start to delve into the music, playing it at the piano, getting sort of an oral conception of what are the harmonies like,
Right.
what are the vocal lines like. Then from there, studying the score, the full orchestral score, making sure, and doing that away from the piano. It's important once you have the sense of what the harmonies are like to get an internal sound of what the music is going to sound like, what you want it to sound like when you rehearse the musicians. And then finally, starting to think on the highest level, really about the timing, theatrical considerations.
Right.
Because ultimately, in opera, the music is, I think, the part that we're most responsible for as conductors is time, how we manipulate time with the music.
Well, it's interesting to look at it that way. Yeah, I guess it is all about time, right? Music is a manipulation of time in so many ways. And Adriana, for you as a soprano, as a singer, how did you jump into this brand new role? What was kind of your process?
My process was similar to Dennis's process. I started with the text first, read through the story. Then the second thing I did was I read the source material. So I read the Tolstoy novella to compare and contrast. And then comes the work of, learning the music and sitting in front of a piano and plunking out my part. And then I think what I love the most about doing this kind of work is digging into the character and her relationships and what things mean to her, and trying to translate all of those things musically.
Right. Well, I think it's important to hear, like you mentioned, that so much of it is not sitting in front of the piano. It's reading the source material, reading the book, doing character research. And I'd be curious to hear, were there differences between the book and Alan Olenichek, who's the librettist, his adaptation, what he put into the libretto? What were some of the differences there? I'm sure there must be.
Yeah, so I think the main difference is that in the novella, which is like a critique of 1830s Russian middle class life, there's this relationship at the center, this marriage between Ivan and his wife Praskovia, which is pretty rocky. Each person is pretty self-serving. They don't really sympathize with each other. And in the opera, what Alan, I think, does so brilliantly is he actually creates this scene of reconciliation. And so you get this sense that these two people actually do care for each other, despite perhaps the annoyances of daily life.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I think Alan adapted the story in a beautiful way with a kind of a softer, gentler touch for sure. And John's music beautifully captures that. Dennis, I'd love to hear from you. How would you describe John Young's music? This is his first opera.
Yeah, John has a really wonderful gift for, first of all, for writing for voices in an effective way and being able to not only accommodate the technical demands of the voice, but also lines that really capture the spirit of the text and enable the singer to project that. But as far as the actual sound of it, John is one of these composers, as far as modern composers go, he's able to write in a way that's immediately accessible, immediately communicative, but it never sounds derivative or too easy. It has a very new sound to it. There's some elements that one could maybe call neo-romantic or post-romantic to his language, but it doesn't sound like it's from the 19th century. It sounds very much of this time. The other day I had the thought, a lot of it reminds me of some of the music of Sondheim and some of his later shows, like Sunday in the Park with George or
We love Sondheim.
Some of
Yeah.
it's very evocative music.
And he incorporated some of the Russian style, Russian, I guess, from the church, the Russian Orthodox Church, some of that phraseology in there, would you say, or quoted it, would you say?
Yes, you could say that there's music that suggests some of the social milieu, especially, like you said, dance elements or things that kind of suggest chant. It's not pastiche, but definitely he incorporates it into his language in a way that really evokes the time and the place, gives it a sense of credibility that we can actually believe that these characters are existing in that time period.
Well, I know we're very excited to get to hear it, and you guys have the honor of getting to meet the composer and the librettist and actually get to work with them during the rehearsal process the next 2 weeks. I mean, how often does Mozart show up to your rehearsals and look over your shoulder and be like, hey, that's actually a B flat there, Dennis, you're missing that note. So that must be quite an experience. And Adriana, can you speak to that? Are you nervous? Are you excited to work with the composer and librettist?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a little bit nerve-wracking to have the creators of the work you're performing in the same room, but I'm also really excited because with new projects like these, there's like a sense of collaboration between the musicians and the composer and librettist, and it's always a fun process, I think, to explore different possibilities perhaps than what was on the page, depending on what might work better dramatically.
Right.
And yeah, I hope we do a good job bringing this baby to life.
No, I'm sure John and Alan are just going to love working with you all. And it adds to an already very collaborative process, right? So singers are collaborating with the conductor, with the stage director, then with the orchestra. And now you actually get to collaborate with the creators of the work. Dennis, I'm sure you've worked on modern operas before. Have you had the chance to interact with other composers, librettists? Is this a new experience for you?
I've been fortunate to have a few experiences interacting with living composers and creators. And one of the things I think that really is so unique to that experience, opposed to, let's say, working on an older work by a deceased composer, is understanding what is the priority of the creator for the specific work. For example, let's say when you're studying a work by Mozart and there's a detail that seems either ambiguous or you don't have a good sense of what is it that he really wanted. Obviously, we can't ask him, and we do a lot of research to find out, what's the best interpretive decision for a given moment. When you have the creators, actually, when you have access to them, they're able to say, okay, this is incidental. Don't spend too much, that's kind of your choice.
That was a coffee stain. That was a complete accident,
sort of
right?
help you just determine what it is that is essential, what it is that, again, there's more flexibility. So it's And we don't have the weight of the performing traditions on us when we do a new work like this. So there's that
Right.
sense of discovery that's offered by this kind of working relationship that's really exciting and also should be exciting for the audience.
And that's a good point you bring up. Opera has been around for a long time, for 100 years, and there are performance standards, performance traditions. You know, you traditionally do the cadenza this way, or you always add this lyric in here because that's the way they did it in the Milan production back in the 1800s. And obviously, none of that exists with a brand new work. And I love your comment about, oh, yeah, I didn't mean to put that note in there. You know, it's very possible that these composers and librettists make mistakes and they're just regular people as well. And getting to interact with them at that level, what a fun opportunity, fun experience. Now, the audience will also get to meet composer John Young and librettist Alan Olenichek after the performances. We're going to have a talk back with them there at the museum and with the cast. They'll get to interact with you guys as well after the show. It's interesting, when we originally planned this production, it was supposed to be last season as part of the Fringe Festival, which of course got canceled because of COVID, and we were going to do a workshop. We were committed to still presenting this work. I really think it's a powerful piece, beautiful music, and we found a way to present it this season and actually do a full production. COVID has had so many impacts on our industry, but at the same time, I think this is kind of a perfect piece for the time we find ourselves in. It's a piece that talks about our mortality, talks about what are our priorities in life when we're faced with our mortality. So I wonder, from y'all's perspective, preparing for this piece, especially in the midst of a pandemic, what were some of the themes or lessons or just feelings that you've had as you prepare this piece? And Adriana, I'll pose that question to you first.
I think what this piece and what this pandemic have in common is their it's a sense of reflection on one's mortality, yes, but also what is most important in your life.
Yeah.
I think with this pandemic, we've really had time to slow down and prioritize what we really want, who's really important to us, who we want to be as artists and as people and as mothers, daughters, sisters, etc. And I think this piece brings that to the forefront, that idea of confronting your mortality and what you do with the time that you have here.
I think you hit the nail on the head. We hear that phrase, gosh, that was a near-death experience in my life, flashed before my eyes. And that's kind of what happens in this piece with Ivan. He starts to reflect on his life. And I think COVID has made that happen with all of us as well. We've all had to kind of look at our lives and what type of person we want to be moving forward, whether that is an artist, mother, daughter, father, son, brother, neighbor, just becoming the best version of ourselves that we can. Dennis, what about you? Were there any connections that you made or lessons that you've learned as you have gone through the libretto and embraced this music?
Absolutely. I mean, in my experience, I will say that this was the first Tolstoy I had read way back in high school, which at the time I can say I didn't quite have the amount of experience to really grasp the weight of the message of this of the novella. But coming back to it now, there's a couple of things that come across. First of all, the title is obviously Death of Ivan Ilych, but the question that I'm continuing to return to as we're preparing this is the death really about his physical death, or is it about a type of spiritual death that has occurred long before he finally does expire?
Yeah.
And I think that's relevant to the current pandemic situation in which, one has to ask, okay, how have we been living when we have, the isolation, the lockdowns after all of this was initiated? I think a lot of people have to ask, what were those things that I took for granted, the opportunities for social contact and connection that we had? Now, obviously, so much of that has been taken away. It's interesting in the first scene of this opera, there's a duet between a couple of the characters, and they're talking about obligations. They keep coming back to obligations, obligations.
Right.
Life is,
Right.
So full of these. And for me, I look back to the time pre-pandemic and think, those things that I thought were just, obligations or chores or difficulties were actually a privilege now that we, again, don't have the opportunity to engage in that. So I think the audience coming to this piece, there's a lot that they can reflect on as these themes are explored throughout each scene. I would say each scene almost offers kind of a different panel or a different facet of this whole issue of what does it really mean to be fully alive.
You said it so beautifully. Thank you guys so much for sharing that with us. It really does change your perspective, right? COVID has changed our perspective on the world, on our lives. This piece changes your perspective. And the composer, John Young, he wrote this piece at a very pivotal moment in his life, challenging time in his life. He was diagnosed with cancer. And this music just kind of poured out of him. And I know from speaking with him that his perspective on life changed from that experience. So I think that's why this piece is so compelling and why we're so excited to present it at this time. Now, I want to see if we have any questions from our guests out there on Facebook. Don't be shy. If you have any questions, put it in the chat there. Questions for Dennis or for Adriana or for us here at Opera Orlando. We have Natasha who's following along with us. And she is a master's in Russian literature, and she's Russian herself. Well, wonderful, a Tolstoy fan. Juliana wants to ask, what is your favorite part about doing a piece that is a world premiere? All right, so Dennis, what's your favorite part about doing a world premiere? That's a great question.
I think it's just the fact that an audience is going to have the experience that is similar, one could say, to what it was like when, let's say, Beethoven, a symphony of his premiered, or when Carmen first hit the stage. When we do all of these pieces that are repertoire staples, it's always a privilege to present those to the audience. But getting a taste of that excitement, that first kind of prima vista experience that the audience has, that to me is really what makes it worth it, I think.
Yeah, there's this tangible excitement in the air, more so than just a regular opening night for a world premiere, for sure, right? And we never know what the shelf life might be, the longevity, but you hope you can look back and say, well, I was at the world premiere of that, right? I was part of the original cast for that production. Well, Adriana, a question for you. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but what kind of food can we expect at Death of Ivan Illich?
Good food?
That's a good answer. Our friends at Arthur's Catering will be providing appetizers and desserts, some appropriately Russian-themed appetizers, some raspberry brie. I know that's in there. We have some macaroons. Oh my gosh, I looked at the menu yesterday, and it's delicious. I'm perhaps too excited about that. But Kathy Cressy has one last question here for us. Tell us about the musicians for this production. So we're joined by musicians from Alterity Chamber Orchestra. And Dennis, have you worked with Alterity before? Is this your first time?
Yeah, in fact, I performed with them on their very first concert several years ago. We did a performance of a work by Messiaen, the Quartet for the End of Time. I played the piano for it.
Very cool.
And since then, Alterity has really expanded into not only in the Orlando region, but I would say it's a very unique new music collective on the national scene. And these musicians they're professional musicians in the area, but who have a particular interest and affinity for music of our time. And I'm really excited to work with this group, mainly because with each orchestra has a different personality. And in my experience, this type of an orchestra that has such a specific and well-defined artistic bent, they're usually so game to try new ideas, try new things. And yeah, so there it's it's going to be a very exciting experience to collaborate with them. Also, this orchestra will have for this production, in case anyone is curious, it's a string quintet plus piano and oboe.
Right.
Um,
Right. Kind of
Actually,
a
our own Beatrice Ramirez
yeah.
Belt will be playing oboe, which will be wonderful. But it sort of bridges this gap between there's a symphonic quality to the music and chamber quality as well.
Right.
So
Right.
it's going to be wonderful.
No, we really hit a home run when we were able to get Alterity involved with their expertise in new music. That is very much their niche. It's going to be a unique venue, a unique orchestration, a unique production. It's a world premiere. I mean, what's not to love? Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Before we send you off, any last words of wisdom? Anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
First, if you have any preconceptions or misgivings about new opera, drop them. This, you're going to love it. It's a lyrical piece. It's absolutely, it's moving. It's immediately communicative, and it will be a very special experience for all those who attend. So I hope I'll see you all there.
No serialism, no atonality in this one.
No.
12 note scale. Okay, all right, fair enough then. That's great. No, that's great. It is very tonal, very accessible music. And Adriana, what about you? Any last words before we say goodbye?
Come see the show. You won't be disappointed.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Take care. Thanks for joining us. Oh, they love you here. Oh, listen to that crowd. Listen to that crowd. They love you. Oh, and we did get one other question from Natasha. She was asking, did the singers read the actual novella by Tolstoy? I know when I talked to Adriana before the interview that she did. Not in Russian, though, Natasha. She read the translation in English, so I hope that counts. What a pleasure to have them with us today, and I hope to see many of you at Death of Ivan Ilych on February 19th and 21st for the world premiere. Can you believe it? COVID protocols are in place, and seating is limited because of that. So buy your tickets now. And did I mention there's food and drink? I think, did I mention that? Yeah, all right. Arthur's Catering providing some yummy appetizers and dessert. All right, I already mentioned that. Well, coming up this month we have our next episode of Representation Matters on February 28th with a very special panel conversation with creative team members of our upcoming production of Carmen, including acclaimed conductor Kelly Kuo, stage director Sarah Widzer, New York native choreographer Maxine Montilas, and award-winning costume designer Christy Shackelford. I know I am very eager to hear from all of them about this original take on Carmen in Haiti. So please be sure to tune in for that. Also, tickets are on sale for Carmen. Did you guys know that? Individual tickets for Carmen at Dr. Phillips Center are on sale. That show goes up April 1st and 3rd. Buy your tickets now. We'll be socially distanced, just like we were for Hansel and Gretel and Die Fledermaus. Now, also coming up this weekend, this Sunday to be exact, join us for brunch at the Front Yard. What's the Front Yard? Well, I'll tell you. So the Front Yard is a new venue at Dr. Phillips Center right in the front there where they have that green lawn. They've set up all these individual pods and a performance stage, and they've been doing concerts out there. And we will be singing this Sunday. So you can buy a ticket for one person in your pod or for 5 people, and you're socially distanced. You can order food. It's really a wonderful setup. And this Sunday, we will have brunch. That looks delicious. Gosh, all this talk about food. I'm starving over here. So we just couldn't help ourselves. We really had to get into the act, and we are doing a concert of opera meets Broadway. I might even have to sing. Who knows? Maybe I'll bring my Grammy with me. If I could only find that Grammy. Where'd that Grammy go to? Well, here it is right here. I just happen to have it. So I'll be there singing with our Opera Orlando chorus. We have Gloria Palermo joining us, Kiani Richardson. You just saw them in Hansel and Gretel. It's going to be a wonderful concert. Tickets are now on sale for that, only $15. Rain or shine, we'll be out there Sunday at 1 p.m. Come join us at the Dr. Phillips Center Front Yard. Well, as many of you know, we had a wonderful run of Hansel and Gretel last week at Dr. Phillips Center. Sold out crowds, albeit socially distanced crowds, and truly beautiful performances from all of our cast members. Well, don't take my word for it. Hear what the audience themselves had to say.
just the highest quality, unbelievable
Absolutely.
talent in the show.
Yeah, phenomenal.
It was amazing. Their voices were beautiful. Their acting was lovely. The interaction with the audience, the witch kept coming towards her, and she's just like, oh, so we really enjoyed it.
I loved it. I didn't know what to expect, but the format was wonderful.
I loved the singing the most.
Yeah?
Especially when Gloria was singing.
Wonderful. I really enjoyed, I think my favorite was The Witch, of course.
Okay.
Great outfit. Everybody had a great voice.
It was wonderful. It was really, really spectacular. I was very impressed by the ranges that the singers had.
The costumes were just exquisite.
Oh my gosh.
And so entertaining. Absolutely. This is a can't miss.
Thanks.
It was amazing. I loved it for my first time. I've never been here before. It's a beautiful place.
That was really great. It was very entertaining.
It really was a special production, and just in case you missed it, never fear. You can watch the entire production online. That's right, for only $25 a household. What a deal. Hansel and Gretel will be available via YouTube from February 12th to 26th. You can even watch it multiple times during that period. Just to give you a little sense of the recording quality, the cinematic quality, and how wonderful the production really was, maybe I could show you guys a little teaser, huh? What do you think? Well, let me see if I can find you. Oh, got one right here. Let me just put it into my system. Okay, we got that lined up here for you. This is a clip from Act 2 of Hansel and Gretel, filmed by Image in a Nation at the Alexis and Jim Pugh Theater at Dr. Phillips Center, featuring Kiani Richardson as Gretel and Gloria Palermo as Hansel, with musicians from the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra. Check it out. Oh, what a tease. Well, I didn't want to give it all away. I can't wait to find out what happens next. I guess I'll just have to buy access to Hansel and Gretel. I hope you do as well. Our video team is still putting the final touches on the video, adding subtitles for you guys, dropping in pixie dust, all sorts of fun things. But it is really coming together beautifully. Can't wait for all of you to see it starting on February 12th. Now, you can actually buy access now, so you don't have to wait till the 12th. Just want to make sure that clear. And it makes a great gift as well. That's what I hear. Well, it's time for us to sign off. Sadly, I'm so sad about that. And most of all, I'm very hungry after all this talk about food. But we hope to see you all at the world premiere of Death of Ivan Illich this month. And thank you again so much for joining us today. Join us again on March 19th for our next episode of The High Notes to learn more about Carmen in Haiti. Stay safe. Hang in there, and see you online or see you at the front yard for some more opera.